Movies just so we can meet Robert Picardo. Thank you, sir.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you. What we figured we'd do is show y'all a 30-minute behind the scenes, kind of seeing a little bit of how we're doing this, and you'll find that we're using a lot of really talented people here in Houston. It's an extremely creative effort, and it's something that we've loved our whole lives, I think.
Indeed.
So, on with the show. Roll it!
This is it.
My name is Bill Hughes. I'm a comic book artist and a filmmaker, and my favorite sci-fi action film of all time is Matt Mercury. You may not have seen Matt Mercury yet because we're still making it, but I hope you'll find it as much fun to watch as it is to make. The film will be completed next year, but I'd like to give you, our supporters at Space City Con 2, a look at the production so far, and even a few unfinished scenes from the movie. We're making this first film in the Matt Mercury series right here in Houston, Texas. The film stars local talent, and you might even recognize a few of our actors. Matt Levine plays our hero, Matt Mercury. Matt was in our original short film as Captain Mercury. He also has been a meteorologist for many years and a news anchor. You may also recognize Matt as the dead guy in the hall from Star Trek Enterprise. What I find most amazing about Matt is that he shares my vision of the future, the way it used to be.
You know what's great about all those shows from the 60s and 70s? You know what I love about those shows? They inspired me to be creative. They inspired me to be the person I am today. And a lot of people attribute those shows to be why that's why they went into NASA. That's why they became engineers. That's why they, they're doing what they're doing. And I don't think the shows of today give people that same inspiration and motivation to be creative and just let go of the imagination. That's what I love about Mercury. Yeah. Mercury revisits that and it says, you know what, there's all kinds of possibilities out there.
Would you look at those eyes? This is Lauren Galley, and she'll be playing Matt's navigator, the spunky and acerbic Lieutenant Sparks McCoy.
You're fluffy again.
Panel for playback.
And Captain Mercury's called in and she's free. Are we rolling?
Are we speeding?
Stop firing!
Speed up his cannon.
But what about Captain Mercury?
Sparks is Matt Mercury's sidekick, and she's like the spunky one who drives the ship, and half the time she's causing more trouble than she's solving.
We're gonna continue with this setup.
Joker, he's striking.
He's striking Kino. Work lights are on.
He's gonna put special effects in that. In the movie, that's not gonna be an orange circle. It's gonna have special effects in it. So I didn't think, it popped up out of
So she does not like Mulchris, which is his not girlfriend.
All right, you know what? I need some time. The stunning Chantel Nicole plays Matt's half house cat and reluctant girlfriend, Mulchris Dunner.
And action.
Stop it.
After seeing Rock living in a local stage play, my wife and the film's producer, Heidi, insisted that he be in Matt Mercury before she would greenlight the project. Rock has all the makings of a big star, and it doesn't hurt that Heidi has a well-publicized crush on him.
Not yet, Mike, but we're moving as fast as we can.
Canadian actor and local artist Rick Corrigan was selected to play the cantankerous Dr. Cypher.
A hull solid uranium flux. Nothing will penetrate it.
Well, surely you had to be able to cut and shape the thing to build it.
I had special tools.
We'll go back and get them.
I'm not finished with my line.
Oh.
I'm very slow speaking, you know.
Speak faster.
And young Brandon Thomas was cast to play the adventurous Mike Metro. As our casting choices show, we wanted Matt Mercury to be a film that appealed to the kid in all of us. The story came from my memories growing up in a world where space was truly the final frontier and where anything was possible. The pre-production phase is the time when a filmmaker must get all the props, costumes, and gear ready for the actual production of the film. Heidi and I had already worked on many of the designs, and I'd done storyboards for the more complex scenes in the film. Early on, we decided to do the film in a green screen studio environment. That meant much of the sets would have to be either computer generated or miniatures. I still had to build the set pieces full scale whenever our actors were going to interact with them. And that meant I had to get out the carpentry tools, and believe you me, I am no carpenter. Another full-size prop I'd have to build was our ship's robot, Jinky. He was reminiscent of all the robots I loved when I was a kid, and for that reason, we wanted him to be kid-sized. Next, we needed to build all the spaceships in our film. Early tests utilizing computer-generated spaceships proved to be unsatisfactory. There was something magical about the physical models that film and television shows used in the 60s and 70s. We wanted to recreate that kind of fun for Matt Mercury. So I went about building our rocket fleet. At some point, Heidi challenged me to design something more radical for our hero, and I began sketching concepts of a Phantom-class star cruiser called the Electra. The challenge to come up with an original yet iconic design was more difficult than I had imagined. After a few hundred sketches, one met with Heidi's approval. Little did I know that the model would require nearly a year to build. I've always been a huge fan of science fiction films, and maybe even a bigger fan of the artists that made them. I love the work of model makers that brought ships like the Discovery or the Enterprise to life. I wanted to make something awesome for Matt Mercury too. Once the design of the Electra was completed, I went about sculpting the 36-inch plug for the ship's fuselage. After that came the dreaded fiberglass. Just so you know, I hate fiberglass. So I'm going to jump ahead about a year and show you the final version of the Electra. Awesome, isn't she? One of the other major elements of pre-production is costumes and specialty makeup. For example, Mulchris is supposed to be an exotic mix of human and house cat. Well, we didn't want anything to distract from Chantel's good looks, so we made her an airbrush mask for the patterns that would appear on her forehead. Our makeup artist, Heather Nixon, completed the effect.
Who are you dressing up right now?
Hi, I'm Chantel Nicole. I am playing the role of Mulchris Dunner. I am half human, half genetic animal, so
she meows.
Other characters weren't so lucky. Professor Brainwave needed a huge cranial overhaul. We achieved this by making a full head mask appliance. Like everything we do, Heidi and I sculpted and cast Professor Brainwave's head in our house and in our driveway. This makes for great conversation opportunities with our placidly suburban neighbors in the woodlands. Pre-production ran nearly a year, and then we were finally able to start shooting. Thomas Rolls is a cinematographer as well as a producer on Matt Mercury. His amazing crew made shooting an entire feature film in 5 studio days and 2 days on location a possibility, and actually did it. When shooting green screen, lighting is the most important element. This is where Thomas had really showed off his expertise.
What happened to us?
I was able to convey my ideas about a scene and how it would look in post-production to Thomas and his crew, and they were able to match lighting perfectly. When we added our created environments to our original footage, I knew anything I could dream up, I could make a reality.
I have a duty to a higher fashion.
What about your duty to me, Mulchris?
Duty, honor, the occasional good time.
After we wrapped the production phase of the film and moved on to post-production, I began to worry less about the logistics of making a film like Matt Mercury and thought about sinking my teeth into the fun part, the special effects. Rodney Allen built some of our environments in the computer, and his work blended flawlessly with the footage that Thomas and his crew had shot. Sean Christian Bellinger was the mastermind behind our computer-generated characters. I'm building the rest of our sets to scale. Using models in this way adds a certain kind of realism, and for me, it harkens back to the masters of cinema like Ray Harryhausen and George Pal. I can't say I'm in their league, but it's fun to splash around in the same pool every once in a while. Our film has several months left before it's completed. Once done, many of the sets and models will make Matt Mercury's second outing a lot more easy. We still have much to do. Sound and music, along with many of the fine details of special effects, will need to be added. That said, I'd like to show you a few unfinished scenes from our film. I won't give away too many plot details, but you'll just have to trust me. These scenes will make perfect sense when they're all finished. This scene takes place on Dr. Cypher's lab on board the Electra.
I am not to be disturbed. Just a minute.
Open this door, Doctor, or I'll venture a cabin into space.
What do you take me for, an idiot?
Tell me, Doctor, were you mad before you became a scientist, or did it happen the other way around?
I have no time for your foolish questionings.
Then allow me to try a pedantic statement. I don't buy that you just happened to end up in the Alpha Zone any further yet. I'd say you were sent there by the Control Council.
Try to understand this.
You keep saying that, Doctor. Do I look stupid to you?
You know what this is, Captain?
A lima bean.
This is the most powerful weapon yet devised by the mind of man.
That looks like a lima bean to me, Doc.
Well, I suppose it's only fitting that such destructive powers should be cloaked within the guise of nature's most nutritious seed pod, eh? Yeah. This humble legume is no less than the first of a race of colossal nanites.
Impossible.
Nothing is impossible with science as your ally.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Listen, You better get your lima bean friend here to hit the weights if he's gonna knock out the intruder and get our planet back.
I suppose you have a better plan.
That's what worries me, Doc. I don't.
Was Igen eigentlich wahr? Mein Liebchen?
Matt has a heart-to-heart with Jinky in the hall.
Captain,
Yes, Jinky.
can I talk to you for a minute?
What's on your mind?
What am I?
You're a General Industries neurokinetic robot and the finest engineer I've ever met.
Thank you, Captain. But am I nothing more?
How do you mean?
Well, after I lost my head back on Quadranus 9, I got to thinking, I'm nothing more than a tool.
That's simply not true.
I was made by man to serve man.
Well, I guess that's true, but I think of you as much more than that.
That's just because you have relationship issues.
Okay, then. Well, I hope that helps.
It didn't.
Great. Back to work, then. We have an intruder to catch.
Now a quick compilation of shots from our film. I'd like to leave you with a few scenes from our opening title animations, and we'd also like to play a bit of one of our theme songs for you. I hope you enjoy it, and remember, keep your eyes on the stars and always support your local Rocket Rangers.
Out on the edge of right and wrong, beyond the stars, where love is lost. If you need someone to set you free, just say his name, Mad Mercury. Mad Mercury, Mad Mercury. His life belongs to those in need. So if you just believe and say his name, Mad Mercury, don't be afraid, my little one, 'cause there is life beyond the sun. Just keep the faith and trust your dreams, and say his name, Mad Mercury.
Okay, I didn't fall down, so that's really cool. I figured we'd bring our actors up here and I'd ask them a couple questions, and if y'all have some questions about what it takes to make a movie here in Houston, Texas, then y'all can ask us some questions as well. So I'm just going to bring all the actors up, including Sean, who's not really acting. He's doing the special effects stuff, and Thomas, who's our cinematographer, and come on up. And y'all just sit up here, and then I'll ask y'all some questions, and we'll have some fun with that, and then we'll ask the audience participants to ask their probing questions. No simple questions, only probing questions, please. Okay, first question is going to go to Brandon Thomas, who is our young Mike Metro. Okay. You're not as young as when we first met, but you do have the perspective of a young man in Houston on the indie film scene. What kind of advice would you give to young actors who are trying to get started here in Houston?
I guess just bring it loud and bring it proud.
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. A great way to start the beginning of our little talk here. I get up in front of a microphone and start talking like Professor Brainwave for some reason or other. Okay, Sean. Sean, you're our computer-generated genius here. And like I said, you created many of the computer-generated characters. Tell us exactly what it's like working on a project like this in Houston.
It's exciting. I always thought Houston would be a perfect venue for entertainment projects like this, and to have someone like you, Bill, to bring this to the table is amazing. And then as a 3D artist myself, I find it exciting to be a part of something unique and new. I don't know of anyone else doing a science fiction movie here in Houston, so we're paving the way, not only for ourselves, but for anyone else who wants to get into filmmaking here. Doing the work itself at times is exciting. It can be really grueling when you have a whip-cracking director telling you, hey, we need to do this, but I'm just joking.
I'm watching you from behind.
It was awesome.
You're getting a little out of line, Sean.
It was awesome. It was
Yeah, I'm doing that because Heidi's beating the living tar out of me.
The work was incredible. His vision, just how he explains it, gets you excited, and then I want to be a part of it and make it happen. So,
okay.
Am I getting paid?
No, that's it. You stopped getting paid about 2 minutes ago. Okay. I don't recognize Chantel's hair that long from behind. I'm sitting here going, is that Chantel? I'm going to ask Chantel a question next, because you've been in quite a few indie films here in Houston, and you probably have a lot of experience with different kinds of films. Do you have any advice that you'd like to give to young actors or actresses who are trying to get into the business here?
I mean, definitely, if it's something that you truly want, it's just about going out there and getting it. You have to get as much experience under your belt to, just really understand what it takes to be an actress in this business. And I think I've done quite a few films, but definitely this one I am so excited about. I feel very honored to be a part of this project. I had no idea it would turn out to be as amazing as it has. Every time he posts a new clip or a photo on Facebook, I'm just blown away every single time. So I'm very proud of myself for sticking it out in this industry as long as I have to now reap the benefits of being a part of such a great production and working under an awesome director.
When we first met Chantel, we had gone over the script and done all this stuff, and then Heidi and I pull out a skin-tight cat suit and say, you'll be wearing this in our family film. and she said yes, and we said, you're perfect.
I did. I looked at it, I was like, wow, really?
We didn't tell her where we got it.
I'm down. Just don't make me look fat in it.
Oh my God, she put the thing on and we went, my God, a living action hero. You know, we were like going, we want a little toy of her. Of course, now we want a little toy of everyone, so, you know. Any toy
Action figures.
Yep,
yes,
yep.
yes.
Yeah, Heidi, we had Matt said darn, I think, in the script at one point. And while we were shooting, Heidi's there going, oh, take darn out. He can't say darn. I'm like, he's a hero. He goes, he's a good-mouthed hero.
Makeup
And
artist.
Heather, come sit down because you have the next question, Heather. Heather was like the first person there every day, and she helped us carry stuff out. So she is like probably the most amazing worker I've ever worked with here.
Makeup artist to roadie, she did it all.
And let's ask her a question real quick because she does a lot of makeup here in town. And you may have some experience. Tell us what it's like working in Houston doing makeup as an artist. I mean, you don't have to say how great it was working with us. We all know that.
It was great.
It was great. It was fun. I like being creative. Painting people's faces is like doing artwork. So you're the canvas, and I like to color for a living. So anyway.
She's afraid of the microphone. Certain people like being behind the camera. And speaking of behind the camera, I'm going to ask my wife and producer, Heidi, a question. As producer, and she really is, to be honest with you, she's the best producer in the world because she's so mean. I mean, you have to be mean to be a producer. And oh, she's mean to me. She's not mean to you. Okay, as producer on the Matt Mercury project, what's the point of the film? This is a trick question.
Well, the point of the film, I can't actually show you because it's Rock Living, our actor who plays Jet Lightning. I sincerely have the biggest crush on that man. We went to go see opening night of the new Star Trek movie, and he sat right here. And I was so nervous and excited. I couldn't hardly say anything. I was like, so, hey, Rock, you like that popcorn? So, hey, Rock, how about that trailer? Huh?
Rock is like this tall, and he turns about 4 shades of red whenever he sees Heidi, you know, because it's like, oh my God, she's going to start fawning over me again.
But since Rock's not here, I guess I'll just say I decided to produce her to support my husband.
No,
Bill.
No, that's not it. Yeah. You know what? Heidi and I both like the idea of doing something fun and having, you know, we're creative people. She's a very creative person, and I obviously try to control it as best I can, but we're trying to do something where you see a film and you see something you haven't seen before because it hasn't gone through a committee. You know, it's her and I, and if it's crazy and it looks great, we just put it in. And the other thing is we're trying to do something that's fun. There's no real dark. The bad guy in it is like as bad as Dr. Smith, you know. I mean, he's not that bad, so kids can enjoy it, and we're just wanting to do that kind of stuff. We just got funded for The Riders in the Sky, by the way. We're doing an animated film with The Riders in the Sky and James Drury. James Drury plays Buffalo Bill, and so now while we're doing this, we're going to animate an entire feature film. So anyway, you can send your cards and letters to my gravesite anytime. Okay, and I want to ask Thomas a question because Thomas is probably the best professional I've ever worked with before. And I shot the film of Matt out at Paramount on Star Trek, so I got to see what the real Hollywood producers do and how the studios work, and they amazed me. The Carpenters, I mean, Michael Okuda showed us around, and it was insane the quality of work those guys do. I mean, one day, Michael in the morning would say, oh, that's going to be the briefing room. And we came back 30 minutes later, and there was a fully painted briefing room there, you know. Thomas and his crew here in Houston are that good, and probably better because they're not working with the kind of money that Hollywood guys are working with. So the question I've got for Thomas is written on one of these cards. See, I wrote all these cards up because I thought it'd be like that show with, what's his name? Lipton, the Lipton fella. The question I've really got for Thomas is, what's what's the future of film here in Houston? I mean, you're committed to Houston like I am, and where do you see film going?
You know, I'm very optimistic about the future of film here in Houston because, you know, as of 2011, we were noted as the coolest city in the country, according to Forbes. There's a lot of stuff coming to Houston, a lot of industry, a lot of money, which is great for fueling the industry. We got a lot of talented people. I personally work at a film school, the Art Institute of Houston, and it's very important to us to make sure that the future filmmakers that are coming out are enthusiastic. They have their theory down, but they really know what they're doing because, you know, that's something that I fear is kind of fading away in some areas. But here in Houston, it's strong. We got a thriving filmmaking community, and it's growing, and I just feel really good about its prospects.
Well, if Thomas is any indication of what its prospects are, we can get this done, because when we first started this whole project, Heidi and I'd look at each other and go, how are we going to do? I mean, my background is I did a lot of illustration stuff for Star Wars, and at one point, Lucasfilm called me up and asked me to come and try out to be art director for the first 3 films, and I said, no, I want to stay here in Houston, I want to do my own stuff. Heidi believed we could do that, but we had no idea that it could actually be done, and when Thomas had lit and shot this stuff, you can't believe it actually can happen, and then it happens, and it's like, you know. But anyway, let me ask Lauren a question. Is Lauren? She's right in front of me, so I can't see it. As an actress and a model, which is, you know, where we met Lauren. She'd started out as a photography model and an actress. And she's become an activist, an advocate for young women, and a producer as well. If you could you talk a little bit about how you're using your rising notoriety to better the world?
Yeah, I have my own organization, and it's called Girls Above Society. And what it does is it promotes self-confidence and leadership skills in young girls. And I actually just recently got back from Maine, because I travel and I give girl talks to girls, which is where I do a little bit of motivational speaking about confidence and leadership. And we also do an activity that goes along with it. It's kind of an anti-bully thing, because girls can be so mean, and there's that huge pressure put on them to look perfect because of the media. And being an actress and a model, I see that, and I have that pressure put on me often, because you have to look perfect or else you might miss out on the job. And, you know, that's just the way it is in the industry. And I saw so many girls who wanted to be actresses. They're like, oh, I'm too fat. And they were like a size 4. Like, what are you talking about? But it's the way they feel. So I've been using my experiences and my contacts through acting and modeling to help other girls know that, yes, I'm an actress and a model, but I don't wake up with my hair looking perfect, ready to go on set. You know, there's a lot of work put into it, and girls don't see that aspect of it. So.
Yeah, her hair was basically the blue hair. Okay, I want to ask Matt a question, because Matt and I think, see the world through the same prism. And, you know, I know you mentioned a little bit in the film about what you liked about Matt Mercury, but, you know, just kind of talk about what we're trying to do and what these shows meant to us growing up and what we're trying to do with Matt Mercury.
Well, I remember in 2005, you asked me to do the sci-fi short, Matt Mercury, and I thought this was kind of bizarre, because I'd only met Bill like a few months earlier. I used to work at Fox 26 as the weather guy there, and I was doing a segment called, thank you. And I was doing a segment outdoors with my weather called Cool Cars or something like that, and he had a Starsky and Hutch Torino. And so
I actually laid a scratch on their helicopter pad, which I felt really bad.
No, we're not going to talk about that, Bill. No, we're not talking about that. So anyway, a few months later, he calls me up and he says, hey, I want to do this movie called Matt Mercury. And I thought, okay, you know, why not? And he had me wearing spandex and a blonde wig, and I thought, this is just stupid. But what was cool about that, and let me tell you what's cool about that, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and if you've watched Fox for a number of years, you know I love Star Trek. I eat, sleep, breathe, drink, whatever Star Trek. And I didn't know that Bill was as geeky as I was until he called me up about this Matt Mercury thing. So we did this 10-minute sci-fi short in 2005. Bill and Heidi actually won a gold Remy for that.
World Fest Houston.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a lark. It was cool. And I thought, whatever. And so several years later, Bill calls me up and asks me to revisit the idea of Matt Mercury. And I thought, well, we already did that. Don't really know if we want to do that again. He said, no, we're doing a full-length feature film. And I said, what does that mean? You know, because it's a cute character, but where are we going with this thing? I think when Bill first asked me about doing Matt Mercury, even Bill didn't realize how cool this project was going to become. Because we started out doing it fairly simply, given the chroma key and everything. I thought, well, we'll have some cool computer-generated backgrounds, and we'll have some cool little effects here and there. I don't think even Bill realized until a couple months in, wow, this CGI looks really awesome. Wow, that chroma key is so good, we can do anything with it. Wow, we got this, you know, great-looking spaceship, you know. And it kind of began its own momentum. So I think the Matt Mercury that Bill thought he was doing a couple of years ago has far surpassed the Matt Mercury we're doing today. I am blown away. Every day I see a new frame grab, or I hear the theme song. I mean, we have this guy, Ron Flint, singing our theme song. He was in a big band back in the 70s and 80s. We've got people that have stepped up their game so much that this movie's taken on a whole new life. And I have to thank Bill and Heidi Hughes for involving me in this project, Matt Mercury, because it has become so much more than I thought it would be a couple years ago. I forgot what the question was, actually.
The question was, what is the circumference of the Earth?
Yeah. Anyway.
Wrong.
You're going to love the movie. It's going to be done by the end of the year, and we got some really cool stuff coming up, so
Matt's executive producer, too, so he's going to make sure we
I'm
get
gonna
it done
sell
by
it.
the end of the year. Yeah. Okay, and before we leave and open it up for a quick discussion, I'd like to quickly touch on the 10 questions originated by French television personality Bernard Pivot. No, I'm just going to do a couple of them. Matt, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word? Yes.
Okay, wrong answer. Move on. Matt Mercury's your favorite word.
That's 2 words, Bill.
Chantel, what is the noise or sound that you love?
The noise that I love? Wow.
Purring puppies.
That's the best, right? Oh, wow, a noise that I love? I know a noise I like to do. It was this scary movie that came out a couple of years ago, and the noise was like, ah.
Very nice. She starred in a movie called Made to Kill. And she was in a French maid costume on the cover of the album, or the book, the movie. That's what a movie is, right? Okay, let's go ahead and, do we have any questions from anybody in the audience before we head out? You, sir, bring your question before the tribunal so that you may be ridiculed.
Well, I really like Matt Mercury. I think it's amazing. And I really want to see it. Like,
I'm working. I would be working right now.
I don't know.
Well, he's gotten in front of a lot more audiences, which is really great, you know, and I think that he's just growing up. I mean, he's just becoming a big, mean guy. I know, we're going to have to get bigger uniforms.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the team? You, sir. The production, actually, most of it was shot at the Art Institute of Houston, which probably is not something, don't be calling Thomas it up. Any other questions?
And the Arboretum?
Oh,
And the
man
Arboretum.
back.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. We're going to put it out as web series, and we're also going to we're going to have it distributed as a regular distribution channel like any other movie, you know, Netflix, and I'd say Netflix and Heidi cringes, she doesn't like Netflix, but we're leaving that up to our executive production staff, but it'll go through the Hollywood machine and, you know, get spit out on the back end someplace, like every other movie. But we will have a web episode version of it that everybody will get a chance to see and enjoy. But it won't be the Blu-ray. We'll have a Blu-ray. This thing's all shot in HD, so it'll have all kinds of great effects and additional pieces. Heidi? Oh, I always look at her like was I right about that? It'll probably go the same way that most DVDs go, but y'all will get it one way or another. Whether you like it or not, we'll send it to your house.
Can I interject on that?
Yes, Matt probably knows more than I do about that.
What we're really trying to do with Matt Mercury at this point is to get exposure out there and sell this as the kind of movie a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old can watch. Now, I have 2 girls. They're 7 and 8 years old, and they love watching like the Batman animated series, and they like watching Power Rangers and things like that. They also like watching or cruising through HBO, and the other day they were watching Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, which is a very, very, very dark take on Batman. It's a great movie, but it was just a very dark take. I mean, Batman gets beaten up. And I cringed when Danielle, my younger daughter, said, I want to watch this movie. And I said, I don't think so, because it was just way too violent. One thing that's really missing in the landscape and will make Matt Mercury sellable is the fact that your child can watch this show and you don't have to worry about the words in it, you don't have to worry about the violence of it, you don't have to worry about anything about it except that your kid will be entertained. The second thing that makes Matt Mercury sellable is it pays homage to those things that I grew up with and that a lot of you grew up with. Star Trek, Lost in Space, Time Tunnel, Land of Giants, Voyage Beyond the Sea, whatever. We've taken all those key elements that parents will appreciate and even your grandparents will appreciate, and we've made it fun so the kids will enjoy it. There's a void right now for entertainment that is not scary and violent. Everything is so dark. Even the kids' stuff now is so dark that it's just hard for parents to say, yeah, you can watch that. So our goal is to build up.
Well, I was going to introduce too, is, you know, one thing that's really cool is people our age, all of us can enjoy it because we're making the ships as cool as anything we can possibly make. You know, we're designers and we know all that, what we want to see, and we're making what we want to see. And you get to go places that nobody's gone before. We're taking Matt Mercury to the center of the galaxy. There's a giant, I mean, I can't tell you it all, but there's just some great, crazy mechanisms at the center of the galaxy that you'll really enjoy.
We're true geeks. I went to his house last week, and he had the 3-foot Electra in his living room. Now, I've seen pictures of it being produced along the way. To see this thing, it's a Planet Hollywood prop. It is the most amazing. I was there for an hour drooling over this thing. It's incredible. And that's what makes us different. We've got real props, real models, great miniatures. Bill, you've outdone yourself on this movie. You really have.
It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun, guys. And let me ask a couple more questions and then we'll let the other guys in. Yes, yes, ma'am. We have 2 pugs. They're rescue pugs. We got them from, that's the big thing. If you ever get a dog, buy it or, you know, get it from a rescue group because there are too many dogs and not enough parents. And we got 2 pugs. We have a chug named Baby Girl, a pug Wawa. It's half pug, half Chihuahua. The cutest thing in the whole frickin' galaxy, except for, of course, you know, our actors. But we also have a full-blood pug because Heidi said she needed a full-blood pug named Rambo, which, you know, big mistake. No, we love them, and they're in everything. In fact, we have a cartoon that our characters watch called Bad Pug, and it's like a Popeye pug, you know. And he doesn't smoke a cigar, but I wish he would.
He also had a cameo in the sci-fi short, the Matt Mercury short.
Yeah, we had a pug in the sci-fi short.
The Pug Rangers, the Pug Patrol. What was it called?
Yeah, they show up, you know. But always get your dogs from a rescue if you can. It's a real good thing to support. And we're actually selling DVDs over at our booth, and every dime of that goes to dog rescues. So if you want to come by and pick that up. And we're selling posters, and we're selling these t-shirts, and anything y'all want to do to support us, we'd love it. And just kind of keep your eyes open.
Matt Mercury, Facebook,
BamTube, MattMercury.com, everywhere. You just type it in, you'll find us. So anyway, thank y'all for coming. Really appreciate y'all's support. And y'all take care.